When I was 4 or 5 years old, my father, he had a hidden son. I knew that because he would leave registration forms lying around on the kitchen table and everything. Sometimes I would take it and burn it on the terrace. We had a somewhat elite family. In fact, my father, he went to HEC, that's what my aunt, a polytechnic, expected. And I don't know if, as a result, my mother, it was out of need that she reflected what she wanted to be on me, or it was really the family pressure. That's still a mystery. But we had stickers when we were in first grade. I wasn't allowed to take the yellow and black belts, only the average one. The day I took average was the first time I got a big slap in the face. And since that day, the violence really started to escalate little by little. Throughout primary school, vacuum cleaners, quantum courses to glass, and hangers were painful. She dragged me by the hair all over the 200 square meter part. A scene depicted my father returning home for Christmas, as he hadn't been home. So we had prepared everything and all that. You try to say it's not a big deal, go ahead, we're going to eat this now and everything. And then there my mother starts getting angry with me and stabbing my hand with the fork and all, you see. I believe I took on an inappropriate role unconsciously and instinctively trying to protect my mother. I knew my father was a danger to my mother in the sense that I knew she was suffering because of him. So a vicious circle where, in addition, she had this habit of belittling, you see. You had to be a size 36 or 34, otherwise it was disgusting. So she had me on a diet since 6th grade. I struggled with bulimia and frequently bought cakes using money I stole from my wealthy parents. My stealing began at a young age. I used to spend 3 hours a day locked in the bathroom reading mangas and eating. As a 9-year-old, this behavior worried my parents. Eventually, they noticed. Except that no, they turned a blind eye to a lot of things. It was always in fear, in fear, in fear, so I didn't know what I was afraid of. In the end, I don't even know what I wanted to protect, me, him, or her. So at 15, I ran away to Japan. There were chats at the time. I was talking to people, and actually I was also very much informing myself about how things were going. In Japan, the jobs, the youth society, and in fact in Japan, prostitution, you see, it's one of the problems of the youth compared to France, where it's a lot of drugs and all. In Japan, it's prostitution that starts very, very early, you know? And I saw that at 13, 14, 15 years old, you could start to have money. In fact, you see, you say to yourself, in fact, instead of living the violence, all this every day, and how many more years it was going to continue, I don't know. I said to myself, well, in fact, I want to go to Japan. I was sure of myself. I had stolen like 33,000 euros from the wallet. So you take that and you take the ticket. There you go. You see what? I had put myself in a group because you had guys from Isgal, which are groups of little girls. We'll assist each other in finding clients by sharing sites and resources. Once we locate a client, there you go. If we would meet in the public toilets of a garden, a park, you see, you roll it, you took the toilet water, you put it on them, the cigarette on top, stuff and everything. And that's what he does. In Japan, you can sell a bottle of piss for 50 euros, all warm and disgusting. You can even sell your panties freshly taken off in front of the person. You sell it for 30 euros. There are lots of little things like that. It didn't shock me in the sense that I think my father unconsciously had educated me about that, in the sense that my mother clearly, I think unconsciously, I saw that she had stayed for the money after all. You see, there was this girl thing about Sorrel, the mistress too, you see. He didn't show me the right image of the girl, I think. Japanese society's views on sex are highly complex. While they may not perceive it as such, I consider their attitudes towards minors to be pedophilic. In fact, you have groups from 12 to 20 years old in all, and in fact, all the clientele are young people of 50, 60 years old in all, who are actually in all the neighborhoods. In Japan, you have a bit of the prostitution district, and you always have districts. Those are guys who are soliciting. And I came across a really cool guy. He had contacts, so he gave me some contacts from the Yakuza. In fact, it's the mobsters who always have this business. Everything that is the world of the night and all, it was survival, survival, survival. I preferred to do that, earn my money, and be free. So I remain Franco-Japanese. So in fact, in Japan, the girls, they don't talk too much to people. You're not going to get along with people you see. You already see them when they're a bit above you. I didn't have that thing and never wanted to do it, so I was laughing a lot I was laughing and chatting away with the Max and everyone else. And one day, one of the guys who was managing the thing comes to talk to me and everything. You're not allowed to do that. You're a product of the house, you see? That made me angry. I thought, what do you mean a product? Then I left. I was doing my thing. I was super free. But as soon as they told me it was a product or they blocked me on something, I also had this ability to leave and find something else. What? I dated a guy I met online for 1.5 years. We were both addicted to hard drugs during that time. They made me take, I didn't even know what it was. It was very hard speed. Yeah, it really messed us up. You even lose your mind, Mum. There was also a lot of violence, a lot of violence. But I accepted it in the sense that since I had already experienced this with my mother and I hadn't healed, or I hadn't thought about it, or I hadn't questioned it, is violence, is it wrong? For me, it was normal, and my mother said it was normal. Today, I am against it. So one day I ran away again from this apartment. Actually, that's all it was, you see. It was running away. Find something else, but survival, you know? Actually, I think I also had this thing deep inside me where I had to succeed to prove to my mother that there's more to life than just degrees. And you see, I was 20 years old. I think at that time I was tired of selling my body, so I got more into sadomasochistic stuff. Actually, we weren't having sex. I had to harass the guy, you know, actually. Humiliate him, yeah, in humiliation, and that was it. There are several levels. Kind, severe, it's optional and all. And then, you know, the bulimia had greatly increased. Back then I was earning €1,000 daily, but it wasn't good at all. That period was honestly the darkest part. I was held captive there for 24 hours and thought I would die. Then I played with fire by getting involved with a dangerous guy I made him believe I was madly in love with him. It's the job, you see, the sorrel, but I didn't even know what to do with it. So I was doing mall tours to do all the restaurants, vomit between the two restaurants. I think food for me is the worst drug, so the act of vomiting, it made me feel good too, but there were times when I couldn't take it anymore. I was taking the vintage, I was wondering, how is this going to stop? That period, when you're really not doing well psychologically, you're not there, you're not on earth. And since I had this problem with bulimia, in fact, where I started to run out of money and I couldn't satisfy my needs in terms of food, I told myself I need to go back to France and start some treatment, maybe therapy or something. I came back to Paris, and the following month there was the World Tattoo Convention. The Japanese friends of friends were from Japan. We hit it off. I saw on Facebook that day they were seeking a tattoo apprentice. They agreed, but I was still bulimic then. Just 2 months prior, I had taken out a €10,000 loan. I lacked the funds to fuel my bulimia and purchase food, except that there I understood that in fact there I finally found something that I would like to do. I need to heal before going there or I might end my life. That's why I visited my father. In fact, at that moment, because he's the only person I thought might understand me, in the sense that since he's bipolar. And so he took me to Gotches, to the psychiatric hospital where he was. Honestly, at that moment, I felt so good in the sense that I finally rested. I wasn't forced to think about tomorrow or work. They just slept. I think I slept for 3 days straight. It was the first time since I was 15, I was 22 or 23. It was the first time I stopped, you know. I spent 2 months there and then went to Japan. After 2 months on medication, my illness began to calm down, allowing me to manage better. Plus, I was lucky. I came across an amazing master. He was adorable. You know, you see? At one point I dropped some Prozac and he told me that it's disgusting, stop taking that, you know, you see? So during an intense month, there you go, he tattooed, we drew stuff and all. He taught me all the basics and then at the end he told me, yes, well, I have nothing more to teach you. And there you go, I returned to France. And I have met this guy. At that time, my ex, with whom I had my daughter, who had some problems. You see, a lot, and I've seen it from the beginning. But yeah, I fell back into it. At first, it was very, very psychological. After me, I accepted. With all my history where I have no family, so my guy, he becomes my family actually. I gave him everything, you know, I gave him body, soul, trust, everything. And I was 9 months pregnant and we moved, you see? And the guy, he had a computer breakdown and so he was on his computer trying to fix it while I was doing the move. And at one point I confused him, right? And the guy, he jostles me into the furniture with the spikes, the things, the stuff on the ground. And there you have it, fractures of the little finger, some bruises here and there. And so I really decided to leave him. I was totally absorbed in my baby and work and I forgot about myself again, except that I had a migraine during that pregnancy. Since I was tattooing with old machines that made a lot of noise and everything, I absolutely had to work, so I absolutely had to get rid of my migraine. I visited a practitioner for ritual acupuncture to treat my migraine, but instead of acupuncture, he performed Reiki on me without prior explanation or consent. It's an energy treatment using the laying on of hands, which I saw had many benefits for children and during pregnancy. I thought to myself, damn, with all the problems I have inside me, with all the problem I'm going through, I absolutely have to protect this child actually. From that moment on, I picked up on everything that was on loop, everything that was cyclical, all the connections I could have had in my life. Before, I helped my partners a lot. I gave my life to others as I started with my mother and all that. I think everyone has been a victim at some point in their life of the injustice of society and all that. Maybe there's a part of ego that says I wasn't a victim. You see this strong woman? And maybe as a result, by going in through balance, through gentleness and all, it can awaken things and make you aware of things. And to be on the front lines to change society a little more, you see.